Hello, everybody. Quick wave to everybody watching on video. Of course, we are out on Facebook and YouTube. You can find me online. Just go to craigpeterson.com/YouTube if that's what you want, or /Facebook. You'll see me there as well. Making sure all the equipment's working right. It looks like we are all set there. So let's get this whole thing going. There's the wave. There we go. All right. So first up here, we were talking about some of the big problems that we have when it comes to encryption and the government's encroachment on encryption. And it shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody because, frankly, governments have been trying to monitor the people for a long time. And that's why we have some of the laws and rights in the Constitution. And as I mentioned, I wrote an article and put it up on my site at craigpeterson.com about all of this. Well, now we're going to talk about the FBI. For those that aren't aware, I'm a member of something called the FBI InfraGard program. And this is a program the FBI put together many years ago that's designed to help the FBI work with critical infrastructure here in the U.S. And that means businesses that might be involved in financial transactions, might be involved in manufacturing. In my case, I'm involved because, of course, I do the security stuff. Hey, and if you're interested in working with me, let me know. Just me at craigpeterson.com. But you should be a member of FBI InfraGard too. If you can pass a pretty simple background check, near as I can tell, the background check is, have you murdered anyone recently? This is not the normal FBI background check at all. But they want to make sure you're legit, you have a legitimate need to get this information, and that you're going to participate in the program. So I have been involved with that for a while. I get a lot of information from the FBI and from some other sources. I'm signing up also for some state of New Hampshire and Mass and Maine sources too. We'll see how that all goes. But the bottom line is we need to know, as the people who are the de facto security people in our organization, or maybe we are trained security people, we need to know what's going on right now. So being a member of the InfraGard, and you can just go to InfraGard, INFRAGARD.org, InfraGard as an infrastructure guardian, I guess, InfraGard.org. You can sign up right there on the website. You can join your local chapter. There's chapters in pretty much every state. Some of them meet quarterly, some of them meet monthly. I was running for a couple of years the FBI's online training, the FBI InfraGard webinars as well, doing training for people. And of course, I continue to do a lot of that training. That's what this free training is that you guys sign up for and participate in. And then this week, of course, I've been doing the whole training on VPNs. Next week, we're going to talk about mobile devices, and then moving on to Wi-Fi, and then we're moving on to security compliance for people who might have compliance issues. But that's what I've been doing, and I've been really enjoying it and helping out a lot of different people and businesses. So right now, we have the FBI Cyber Task Force releasing what they call a PIN. Now, you'll get all of these PINs as an InfraGard member. PIN stands for Private Industry Notice. Now, these PINs have different levels, grades on them. Green means basically you can share it with anybody, and then it gets to yellow, which is kind of a need-to-know basis. And then there's probably other colors that they just don't let me see, or other InfraGard members, because they're not stupid, okay? But that's what these pins are, private industry notices, and they came out with one telling businesses to adopt biometric factors. Now, this, frankly, is a very big deal, and when we're talking about the biometric factors that we need to be worried about, they are basically saying, hey, listen, when you log into a site, when you have a way to authorize yourself, the best thing to do is have something you know and something you have. Well, something you know would be a password. Something you have might be like what we use internally, Duo, D-U-O, in order to verify who we are. And it's a one-time password thing, and it works great. But there might be something else too, and that is the biometric thing. So in some cases, like on my MacBook Pro, my laptop has a fingerprint reader that I can use to unlock things. Plus, I have a thumb key, a USB key that I can stick into it that I have. And again, that's something I have. So biometric is really good for multi-factor authentication. It's not perfect. It depends, right? We already know to not use some of the older Samsung fingerprint readers because they can be easily defeated. But and there's problems as well with some of these facial recognition systems. But multi-factor authentication is really where they're going. So this is an article from Tech Republic that I have up on craigpeterson.com. And he's saying that Microsoft's Group Program Manager for Identity and Protection, Alex Weinert. So this is a guy that should know. He's working for Microsoft. They have to keep their data, quiet. They have to keep it private. They want to keep their customers' data private. So this is a guy in the know. He said accounts that are using multi-factor authentication were more than 99.9% less likely to be compromised. Now, this is kind of interesting because when we're going into Microsoft and we're talking about Microsoft, there's something else that you might want to know. And that is that many managed services providers, and this includes some break-fix shops and things, but they are selling their customers Office 365. And this includes huge companies, right? A lot of people go and buy from the big guys because then it's safer, right? And it's a bigger throat to choke. And if something goes wrong, they can sue them and get the money out of them. All of which I disagree with entirely, right? Because the big guys don't care about you. They care about their bottom line. They have to, of course, keep their stockholders happy. The smaller guys are paying more attention, but I see the problem with most of the smaller guys is they don't keep up with these FBI pins, these private industry notices. They don't keep up with the latest in security. They're not moving their customers from one platform to another because they're selling them software as opposed to really selling them a service. So what we do and what I recommend you look for out there in a vendor is we have a monthly fee and we will change the software that we're using and that we're using to protect you. We'll change the hardware that we're using if we're finding that there is something that's a lot better. If we're finding that there's a hole, we will fill that hole. And we fill that hole with new technology. Versus normally what happens is, okay, here you go. Here's a bill. Here's the hardware. Pay the bill. We'll install it. See you later. And the same thing's true with the anti-malware stuff. People are selling you the Norton or the Symantec or some other sort of antivirus software, which frankly just plain old just doesn't work, right? It doesn't work well enough. So you got to be very, very careful. Google made a similar claim, by the way, in a blog post in May. So here's what happened. A huge managed services provider got hacked. How did they get hacked? Well, it turns out they weren't using multi-factor authentication. I already told you about how we are using multiple layers of multi-factor authentication to protect our stuff, including we're using multi-factor authentication for all of our Microsoft software and services that we're selling, like the Office 365, etc. So we're better than 99.9% less likely to be compromised than these other guys and these big guys. So what Microsoft has done now is they're forcing most of these so-called managed services providers, and people are just hanging up shingles saying they're managed services providers and they can't manage services. They just don't know what they're doing. This is too complicated for them, but they're hanging up a shingle anyways. So Microsoft said, okay, well, we're not going to stop them from selling our software because we want to make money. We're going to go ahead and force them to use multi-factor authentication. So there you go. FBI has a big warning out. Microsoft is now forcing people to start using multi-factor authentication for very, very good reasons. SIM swapping, there's a whole bunch of stuff. If you want to learn out more about this, you can find this article up on my website at craigpeterson.com. Stick around. When we get back, we're going to be talking about cyber theft. And, if you think your data's not a target, you're wrong. And we'll explain why when we get back. You're listening to Craig Peterson on WGAN and online, craigpeterson.com.